you guys probably say to yourself, KK, why you always trying to dupe a palette to keep you from buying it, and then you turn around and buy it anyway? Listen, first of all, I don't buy them all anyway. I only buy the ones that I just can't fight no more, right? But aside from that, you have to try. If you're trying to save money, you're trying to not purchase the same color story over and over again. And if you're trying to not just be filled with FOMO, because that's really what it is for me, especially as a content creator, a makeup lover, a makeup collector. I hit FOMO real quick, real easy. You know, it's one of the things where it's like, I can buy it, so if I want it, why don't I just buy it? But because I am a makeup lover and collector, I have a lot of the same color stories over and over again. So yes, it behooves me to try to talk myself out of certain palettes. And this one, I actually feel like I'm be successful, because I really don't want this palette no more. After looking at the actual true color story of the palette, which I'm gonna put it on the screen now. This one is the Simply Posh Black Cherry palette, I believe. Yeah, Black Cherry palette. And the name alone makes me want it, because just the whole black cherry vibe, I'm feeling it, right? But when I look at the actual color story, the shimmers, the mattes, it's really just a rosy tone color story with like a burgundy, a black, a pop of green shimmer, and then another somewhat, it looks like muted green matte in there, mixed in with all the other pinky rosy shades, right? So if I was to sit down and use this palette, I would do a look with like the burgundy in the outer corner, one of the mid-tone rosy shades in the crease, one of the light shimmers, pinky shimmers, either on the lid or in the inner corner. Or I would just do a look using that very last column with the black, the green, and the green shimmer. So just looking at it like that, from that perspective, yeah, this is an easy pass for me. So let's look at these palettes that I pulled though, just to help me say no, because my initial response when I saw it leaked was, yep, I'm buying it. And I was like, girl, no, don't buy that. So I love Simply Posh. I actually have quite a few of their palettes, and that's another thing too. I have enough to where if I want to, I can collect their palettes, but I don't want to do that. I love the palettes that I have from them, but I don't need this black cherry. So this Beauty Bay palette was one of my first thoughts. This is their berries, and I believe I have the large one as well as this smaller one. But if you look at this palette, pink shimmers, beautiful, kind of like an eggplant purple there, have a beautiful burgundy red, you know, yeah, it's a beautiful burgundy rosy tone palette. I have these two palettes from Juvia's. I have the mauves and I have the berries, because in that palette it's kind of pulling a little bit mauvey rosy, if you will. So I'm probably going to keep it on the screen just as a point of reference, so I'll try and stay to this side. But these two palettes here, you know, definitely can create the same types of looks. Beautiful shades here, rosy pinks, burgundies, plums, eggplant purples, you know, just beautiful. So those are two palettes where, you know, I can easily pass. This one here is one that I haven't used yet. It's from Too Faced, but I loved the packaging and I love the color story, so I went ahead and grabbed it, you know, when it was on sale. I don't even know if they still sell it, but this one I thought about because it has like the beautiful like burgundy tone shades, rosy shades over here, but it also has like black, and it has pops of green in there as well. The Simply Posh palettes, they have that whole middle row of shimmers, which is absolutely gorgeous. They have pretty shimmers. They're not the best shimmers I have in my collection, but they are very, very beautiful, sparkly shimmers. So that's one thing that, you know, a lot of other palettes don't have. Now this Golden Roses, this one I believe is from Kaima Cosmetics. They actually sent me this a long time ago when it came out. And I know Kaima has been enthralled in controversy. Like, can we please stop as brands being enthralled in controversy? But honey, I have this palette in my collection and I'm going to use it. So this one, beautiful. Now, one thing I will say about Kyma Cosmetics, honey, their shimmers, the mattes are beautiful, but the shimmers, it's like a whole different level of gorgeous, beautiful sparkliness. You know, I don't have a light shining on the palettes right now, so it's not doing it justice. But yeah, this palette will probably run circles around that Simply Posh palette, just keeping it a buck. You know, it doesn't have the green in there, but honestly, I don't need a green and pinky tone palette because I don't typically mix those colors together as it is. Now this Morphe 35 TE, T's the Season, I forgot I have this palette. Child. And listen, you might think I forget about a lot of palettes I have, but I don't. I listen, I know every palette I have in my collection, but this one I forgot about, child. But I don't pull my old Morphe palettes, you know, that often, so I'm not surprised. But look at this color story. This is so pretty. And while this isn't exactly like that Black Cherry palette, it's like these shades down here definitely fit in. These like mid-tone rosy, you know, mauve shades definitely fit in. You know, you got your black down here. There's no green in here, but like I said, that's not even a reason why I would buy the palette. If that green wasn't in there and it was like a deeper, darker cherry shade, I'd probably be more apt to buy it if it wasn't in there. But you know, for my collection, I do have palettes that have pink and green. This one is from, who is it? Bella Beauty Bar. This one is the Secret Garden. And so this palette definitely is for the people that love the pinks and the greens mixed together. So, and you want to talk about a bomb shimmer formula, honey, Bella Beauty Bar has got it. So yeah, just this palette alone is running circles around that Black Cherry palette also. You know, it doesn't have like the deep burgundies in there, but we already know I have deep burgundies. So, but pink and green palette, this one here will do it. This pink and green palette is a little bit brighter, a little more playful, a little more youthful. And I'm still trying to figure out like when I'm gonna do an eye look with this. But you see these pinks and greens, and look at the shimmers. The shimmers in here are gorgeous as well. This is from Glam Light. This is the Strawberry Shortcake palette. Definitely a pinky rosy palette with pops of green. It takes the green mattes to another level. And like I said, it's just missing the warmth of like the brown tone burgundies. But Berrylicious palette from Glam Light gives you pinks and greens. Now this palette I didn't initially think of until I opened it, and I was like, wait a minute. Even though this is the Smoky Glam, and I always attribute this to more purples and gray tones and mauve tones, there is a lot of rosiness on the top of this palette. So even though, you know, it's very purple, very gray leaning, if you look at the top two rows, there's a lot of rosiness going on up there. You even have a burgundy up there in that right hand corner, brown, you have black in here, you know, and a mix of these are like green, you know, it's like a green toned gray right there also. So different vibe, but same type of color story. If you look at that top row, a lot of rosiness to it. So yeah, I was surprised by that because I usually only think of this as far as like purple, but it's rosiness in here too. Now this one, I absolutely love this palette. Have not used it yet, but it's like, I'm like, girl, force yourself to use it because this is the Two Moods palette from Give Me Glow. They actually redid this palette and made it smaller. But this one, if I can get it open, has two sides for the two moods. So you have your deeper rosy side and then you have your lighter rosy side. Now tell me this is not giving the same vibes as most of that Black Cherry palette. You just are not, you know, going as super duper deep with like the browns and stuff in that deep dark corner. But I mean, it's like, this is a pretty dark brown and this is a pretty dark purpley shade, and all of these gorgeous rosy tones are really giving me the same vibe. The only thing I would say is the shimmers from Simply Posh would be more sparkly, but Give Me Glow has some gorgeous shimmers as well. If you look at their shimmers, honey, these shimmers are beautiful as well. Don't sleep on the Give Me Glow formula. So yeah, this palette definitely scratches that itch. Now this palette, another P. Louise. You know, P. Louise is good for giving you 5 million shades in one color story. So this one is called the But Does It Come in Pink palette from P. Louise. And I got this quite a while ago. You know, I really don't wear pink eyeshadow, but I wanted this in my collection. And do you see the range on this pink? From super duper light to super duper dark, honey. Every shade in that Simply Posh palette is probably in here. You got some of the more dusty rose type shades down here, beautiful shimmer throughout, super light shades. You got your deep dark burgundy plums and your super bright pinks. So this palette definitely covers it. You know, like I said, I feel like in the Simply Posh you're probably really gonna get some duochrome shimmers, multi-chrome shimmers, but y'all think I ain't got duochromes and multi-chrome shimmers? Because your girl does. Now, of course, ColourPop has to enter the chat. We have the Wine and Only, and we have the Cloud Spun. The Cloud Spun is more of the light pinky shades. And then the Wine and Only, one of my favorite color stories. I have the old one. This is the newer one. I purchased the newer one because I like the packaging. But I have the older one, which is the one that I have used. And tell me these two color stories is not going to give me what I want. They absolutely are. You look at that. Look at the deep tones. Look at the beautiful light tones. Yeah, definitely does the trick. We got this Too Faced Marielle palette. When I tried this, when I first purchased it, when it first came out, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Gorgeous. I still love this palette. It has like the raised glitter on there. Did you guys get this palette? The Amor Caliente. Amor Caliente. But gorgeous. At the time, you know, I was like, man, there's too many light shades in here, and I still feel that way. But I feel like it makes this palette a little bit more well-rounded for someone who might like a deep dark eye look with a really beautiful pop of color, or someone that might want a more light neutrally look for work. So I feel like it definitely gives you more options in that aspect with this palette. So yeah, but it's really, really pretty. Now you guys see here I have this Pat McGrath. This is the number 5, what is this called? Bronze Seduction. Sensual Seduction. I always have to sing that song when I open this palette. But yeah, this is my Bronze Seduction. And the reason I pulled this, because it's not, you know, this one is not really, she definitely has other palettes that are more rosy and pink leaning than this for sure. So honestly, I don't know why I picked this one. Maybe because of that dark purple, plummy purple up there, you know, and then the brown, you know, it has the pretty red and the shimmers. But honestly, you mix this with one of her, and also it has this beautiful specialty shade that's green leaning, you know. It's like so pretty. But yeah, honestly, you mix this with one of her other Divine Rose palettes and you'll run circles around that Simply Posh palette. Next, we have the Huda Beauty Rose Gold palette. This was the remastered one. Look at that pretty packaging. Oh, yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I had repurchased this palette, you know, when they came out with the remastered one. So this one is new, brand spank. But you look at this, beautiful rosy shades, has the black and has, you know, kind of like green leaning shimmers, as well as a bunch of pink, beautiful pink shimmers and more neutral shades, you know, so it can be like a more well-rounded palette. You don't have the green shimmer, but like I said, that's not what I would buy the palette for anyway. But this palette is so pretty. So this one here is the Chucky Crazy in Love from Glamlight. And this palette is very deep and dark. So quite honestly, when I first look at it, I'm like, why did you pull this palette? But just knowing how my brain works, this palette is more of a description of Black Cherry than theirs is. Because when I think of Black Cherry, I'm thinking really deep, dark, grungy, burgundies and reds, you know, mixed in with the blacks and the browns, and if you want to throw some green in there. But when I think of black cherry, for me, this is a color story that's more up my alley, you know, like with the super deep dark shades here, the black, of course, you have these dark shades here. I don't know, to me this just says black cherry more than theirs. That's probably why I pulled it, because I would be looking for a little bit more depth, honey. Okay, this Patrick Ta. This one I pulled because of the lighter, rosier tones. You know, he has some deep shades in here as well, you know, like, but all of this right here and these shades over here, you know, they're giving that pretty soft berry vibe in his shimmers. Absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, and he even has these really nice dark cream shades in here. So yeah, definitely giving that rosy vibe. So this one is the Major Dimension 2. Okay, just a few more. So I grabbed these two BH Cosmetics palette because it made me think of, you know, bright reds and pinks when you're talking about like black cherry. You know, of course I'm thinking pinks and reds. And so I grabbed this cherry on top just to look at this, and I was surprised when I opened it. I was like, yo, there's some really beautiful pinky tones in there, coral leaning, which I really didn't get when I think I first purchased this and was like vibing out with it. I really didn't see how corally it is, and I love that. But that deep dark burgundy in that bottom corner and those pretty shimmers, look at those shimmers. Yeah, for sure, gorgeous. And then the Cotton Candy, which was like the pinky purple leaning palette, as you can see, you know, it definitely has more purpley vibes to it, but you also get some bright pinks in there. So just pulled those two to look at. And then I have a few more back here. The Natasha Denona My Dream. I love this palette. This used to be like one of my favorite color stories from Natasha Denona, and honestly it still is. I love the richness of this palette. You know, a lot of her palettes don't go super deep and super dark, or at least they used to didn't. And now she's getting more into making sure that she has everybody covered. But this palette here, I feel like what drew me to it, of course, was the super dark plummy shades, you know, because that's what I would want in a black cherry palette. This shade here is gorgeous. You know, it has these deep dark, the black and the gray, this beautiful mauve-y pinky shade, kind of like a magenta, and then it has like, you know, the neutral shades. So although it's not the exact same vibe with the neutrals and the beautiful rosy tones and the deep dark plum and black, I feel like it could give me the type of look I wanted if I was thinking black cherry. So I love this palette. Now another palette that I grabbed that I could actually mix with some of my singles, which I have here, different single shimmer shades, was my Danessa Myricks, but this is the Blooming Romance. This one leans with the rosy and mauve tones. You know, it has the neutral shades also, goes deep and dark, but it definitely has those beautiful rosy tones, mauve shades in there, which is like within that same theming for the black cherry. This palette is so pretty. I need to play with these more, I really do. Those are like top drawer type palettes, you know. And then lastly, I pulled here my Huda Beauty Naughty. Naughty. Now child, look at, I never even used this palette. And look at this color story. Beautiful. I think people were talking so much about this Petri dish shade and having so many feelings about it that sometimes I just put it to the side. Like I'll come back to it. But I definitely want to just play with this. If you have this, let me know. Sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this Naughty palette, because I love this color story, and it's definitely like a muted rosy tone color story, but it has like really deep shades in here as well with these gorgeous pinky tone shimmers. So anyway, pulled that. Okay, and then of course you guys know I have to look through my singles sometimes. Now these singles are mixtures of like peachy tones with some deeper, darker browns in here. And so I pulled this singles palette just because I know that I have some really pretty peachy and pinky tone shimmers in here. Also some mid-tone corally shades down here. I also have like these deeper shades over here. So if I wanted to sit down and actually try and dupe that palette, I could, because, you know, look at these beautiful pinky shimmers in there. And those other shimmers, those corally shades. So yeah, this is one of my prettier singles palettes that I like to just look at sometime. This one is my pinks. So as you can see, the shift on some of these shimmers already tell you that there are some dual chromes and multi-chromes in here. But yeah, the shimmers in here are next level. So I would highly doubt if there are any shimmers in that palette that I could not duplicate, replicate, or, you know, just use out of my collection and be happy with. So you see this one here is a pink and green duochrome. You can see that shift right there. Pink to green. Pink to green. So that would go perfectly well with the color story, but definitely has all the shades of pinks in here that you can imagine. So I pulled that. And look, there's another pinky green duochrome in there. Look, it looks full on green. And then look, it's turning pink. You see how it's like green, you come this way and it turns pink. Crazy. Crazy. And then lastly, this I wouldn't really need to pull much from because these are my greens. And as you can see, lots of beautiful green and blue, muted blue tones in here. But yeah, for that one green shimmer, I don't think it would be very hard for me to dupe it. Not sure exactly which one I would dupe it with, but this really pretty sparkly one right here that you guys might be looking at, that's actually a glitter. So, but it is a very, very beautiful, finely milled glitter, you know, if you like that. But I wouldn't pull a glitter to dupe that green. I would have to find a green that comes close to it. So I would have to look in some other palettes, but this one has a lot of options for duping that green, you know? I don't know how I almost forgot the large Beauty Bay Berries palette. All of these gorgeous pinks and reds and corals and purples and lilacs. This large palette definitely has all of the feels of the black cherry palette, just without the green. So wanted to show this one as well before I said goodbye. So yeah, that's it for this video, you guys. Just kind of checking out these berry tone, pinky tone palettes to kind of, you know, scratch that itch of wanting that black cherry palette. Although it is an absolutely gorgeous palette, it's not one that I'm going to be adding to my collection at this time. So yeah, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me to watch this video, and I will see you on my next one. Toodles!